Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a get ready with me. So first I'm starting off with using the CoverGirl True Blend base in the mattifying version. I like this. I tend to only use it specifically on like my nose where I have larger pores and like my cheek areas where I have rosacea. And throughout the video you might see that my face might get red, and don't worry, that's just my rosacea acting up from it mad that I am rubbing my face. For foundation today, I actually found through recommendation on several people here on YouTube, and one I didn't know if I was gonna like because of it being so liquidy, but I actually really do like it. It's the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. And I have mine in the shade 0110 Light Beige. So it does come with like a little dropper, which is something that I didn't know if I would like initially, but now that I've used it a couple times, I realize that I actually do like it because I feel like I can really control the product and how much I'm putting onto my face. And this is the Real Techniques sponge. And I know that I'm starting off with only a little bit of product. That's because I prefer to build it up in the places that I need, so my cheeks and my nose, and then other areas such as my forehead, I tend to leave it pretty minimal. And if you're wondering why I'm looking down so much, there's a mirror right here so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's the first layer. And now I'm going to add a little bit more onto my cheeks and my chin. Mostly I've been using a sponge lately, but for the past year or so I'd say I've actually been using a brush to get more coverage. But recently it's been leaving a lot of streaks on my face, and also I haven't needed as heavy coverage because my skin's been doing pretty good because I haven't been wearing makeup as much. For my under eyes, I'm going to be taking the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer in the shade 110 Fair, and also the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealer in the shade e.l.f. 400 Classic Ivory. I only put this concealer into the very inner part of my eyes because that's where I have the most darkness, as do most people. I put this all over, and just a tiny little amount of this right in the corner. And then I usually give it a second, and then I will blend it out with my finger and the rest of my sponge. And as you can see, it covered up pretty good. So next up, to start setting my face, I'm going to set my under eyes with a Laura Mercier translucent setting powder with this small little brush that I got from, the brand is Emax Design, but I got this in a pack from Amazon, so I can link that below. And then for the rest of my face, I use a variety of different things. But today I'm going to be using the CoverGirl Clean Matte Powder in the shade 510 Classic Ivory. And I'm going to be using a big fluffy brush. It's the Real Techniques blush brush, I believe. I've had this for a really long time. Love this brush. I try not to put too much on because I hate looking wicked powdery or anywhere that I might have some dryness, which is usually in my forehead or in this area specifically. But with this powder I haven't had much trouble. Next I'm going to be doing some bronzer, and I'm going to be using the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. This bronzer is one that I have not used in quite a long time, but I'm trying to get back onto it I don't know if this video is going to be going up first or my project video, but this is in my fall mini project pan. I'm trying to use it up. But I try not to use a lot of bronzer because on me, because I'm so fair, it kind of looks like just a gray line. So that's not very flattering. Most people do, is that I do not use blush. And that is because I'm trying to cover up my rosacea, which is the redness under my skin. So why am I trying to add that back in? Especially since some of it slightly is peeking through, since I'm not using a super heavy coverage foundation or anything like that. So next up, I'm going to be doing highlighter, and I'm going to be using the Balm's Mary Lou highlighter. I don't usually wear highlighter on a daily basis, but today I decided, why not? So I'm just going to take this Real Techniques brush. This is technically an eyeshadow brush, but you know, whatever you want to do. I'm going to stick this on the high points of my cheeks. And then just blend it in with my sponge. Making sure there's no lines on my neck. So next I'm going to be doing eyeshadow, and today I'm going to be using two of my favorite palettes, including my most recent purchase, which is this e.l.f. bite-sized eyeshadow in the shade Pumpkin Pie. I really like this. It's only $3 and I got mine at my local Target, but I've really been enjoying it. I think for such a small palette, I've been getting several looks out of it, and even though they might not be the most complex, it's definitely a great everyday palette. And in conjunction with that palette, I'm going to be using one of my classics, is the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, and this is the original Jaclyn Hill palette, not the second version. Even though it doesn't look like this has been barely used, it definitely has had a lot over the years, particularly these shades up in this corner. But today we're going to be using a few of these in conjunction with the e.l.f. eyeshadow palette, and we're going to see what we come up with. So I'm going to start off by using my Morphe M441 brush, big fat fluffy brush, and I'm going to be sticking into this shade right here, and I'm going to be fluffing it all over the lid and into the crease. I'm kind of doing it erratically because I'm not trying to be too precise. I'm just trying to get a base down for the other colors to go on to. And next I'm going to be taking this mustard yellow shade, and I'm going to be putting it just slightly above the crease, but not letting it go anywhere farther than the beginning of my brow bone. This is just to try and give it some warmth, because once I start blending the deeper colors, I don't want it to just look super deep. Now on my eye shape, I don't know what you call my eye shape, but I tend to like to put the darker colors in kind of a 45-degree angle downward right in here on the outer part, in the outer V. And I don't like to bring it in too far because I find that it closes my eye off a lot. So I'm just going to be putting a little bit of like a dark brown shade, specifically using the dark brown from the e.l.f. palette. I'm going to be using this first shade. Now I'm looking into my mirror, so I apologize again for looking down, but I kind of have to because without my glasses I am basically blind. I'm just kind of flicking it here. I'm not being super precise, but I'm not dragging it in either. I'm keeping it right there. And a random side note is that this eye, for some reason, loves to cling onto shadow. Like any eyeshadow I've ever used, this particular portion of my eye just clings to it, and once the eyeshadow's there, it just doesn't want to blend. I don't know why. I do not have dry eyelids or anything like that. It just happens. And it looks pretty good. And just a fair warning, I am not a makeup artist. I am just a girl who enjoys makeup. So take everything I say with a grain of salt and do everything your way. I'm going to be taking the same e.l.f. bite-sized palette, and I'm going to be taking the second shade, which is the lighter of the two shimmers within the shade. And I'm going to be taking this across my lid, but not to my inner corner. And for this I'm going to be using my Morphe M124 brush. Okay, and now I'm going to blend that in a little bit so that way there's no harsh lines or anything with the same Morphe brush that I originally used. Now I'm going to go back into the Jaclyn Hill palette and I'm just going to grab the super light shade and just blend everything up at the top so that way it's all, only a little bit, so that way it's all nice and blended. For my inner corner, I usually don't highlight it, but today I'm feeling like going all out, so why not? So I'm just going to take my finger and stick it into this lighter shade here, the second one in, and just dab it right here on the inner corner. So my particular eyelashes are pretty long. I mean, they don't have much curl to them, especially on this eye. They like to just jut out straight. But I've been using this Essence Lash Princess in the green bottle, and I actually really like it, especially now that it's dried out quite a bit. So I'm going to use that first to give my lashes some curl and lift. I like it because it makes my lashes pretty fanned out and it's not super clumpy or anything like that. And next I'm going to be using the L'Oreal Telescopic Mascara in Carbon Black. This I like because personally I don't like super like spidery clumpy lashes. It's not my thing. I like more long lashes that have a curl to them. So I take this and I just run it through to make sure there's no clumps and to separate everything. Some Vaseline on my lips because I like to make sure they're nice and hydrated. And I use the cocoa butter Vaseline, the little one. Smells really nice. So next I'm going to be doing my eyebrows. And again, I don't fill them in like super structured. I just kind of fill in what's naturally there, and any sparse areas I fill that in. Combing them out. And now I'm going to take my LA Girl brow pencil. I don't know the exact name, but because I've had it for so long, all the writing's basically gone off of it, so I don't know which shade I am either. So I'm sorry about that, but it should be probably like medium brown, I'm pretty sure. I only have a little bit left. I always start at the edge right here, and then I work my way up. And then I just start making tiny little hair strokes just to fill it in because my brows are slightly sparse up at the front. And I work my way down, and then I assess. I say, okay, it looks pretty good. And then the other one I do the exact same thing. Definitely nothing groundbreaking. And I do have a kind of bald spot on my brow right here specifically, so I make sure to really fill this one in. And then I just take the spoolie that's on the end of this brush and I just comb it all out again so there's no harsh lines or anything like that. And then I take this Essence Make Me Brow in the shade 03 Soft Brown. And I just comb this through. Just like that. Okay, now the last, but certainly not least, I'm going to be moving on to lips. So I don't usually use lip liner, but today, why not? So for lip liner, I'm going to be using the NYX Professional Makeup Lip Pencil in the shade Natural. It's just a kind of your lips, but better. And especially for my lips, because I definitely think that they are slightly more pigmented. I don't use anything that's super cool or really light pink because it just washes me out. So I'm just very lightly lining my lips, nothing crazy. And now I'm going to be using as like my base lipstick, the main color, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Color Sensational lipstick in the shade 657 Nude Nuance, and this is in the matte formula. It's just a nice kind of brownie pink color. Not a super huge difference, but it's something. And then to darken up the lips a little bit more, I'm going to be using the Bite Beauty multi-stick in the shade Almond. I got this last Christmas and I didn't think that I'd like it very much because a multi-stick, I thought it was going to be super dry, especially for the lips, but I actually really like this and I love the magnetic close on it. As you can see, this is almost the same shade as that Maybelline lipstick, but this one is slightly darker, and because of the formula, I feel like it just grips the lips quite a bit better. So I'm just going to put this right in the center so you can see the difference. There we go. Okay, so this is the final look. I know it's not anything super groundbreaking, but it's definitely a slight improvement. So here we go. Now I know that I do have a few spots down here of some acne and breakouts and stuff, but because of the mask, obviously no one's gonna see that. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. I'd really appreciate it. And definitely subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.